You know what? Riot should really get that Faranivia skin.
Yeah, I think.
Makes better promotion for GPL. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here on the Garena Premier League Summer 2017. This time we are in our fourth game of the second day of the group stage. This time it's going to be Vietnam's Young Generation versus Singapore's Resurgence. Let's see. This is actually kind of a very angled match. Like it's kind of one-sided really. Young Generation is the top team right now, right?
Yeah, of course. They are 3-1, I believe.
Yes.
But at the same time, Resurgence, they've got pretty good standings themselves. But let's see, we're already in pick and ban, actually. And we do see, yeah, very similar drafting from, nothing new, really. We do see Young Generation prioritizing the Rek'Sai, and then it's going to be Big Koro on the Kalista again, and Naul on the Cassiopeia. And he really likes this Cassiopeia. I think this is maybe his second or third time playing it so far.
What's so interesting here is that the first two picks, the first two picks was on Resurgence. And the interesting part here is that the first pick was on YG. They actually had the first pick on Rek'Sai, but did not pick the Kalista here on Resurgence.
Yeah.
So they just really gave the Kalista
took the
to
Sivir
YG.
instead,
Yeah.
so that's interesting.
That's very interesting.
Like, I'm not
Sivir
sure.
over Kalista.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you take the Sivir so early into the rotation. It's not a priority pick. They're not going to ban it away. And there's so many good champions to take. They could have taken their priority over the supports. They could have taken the Rakan early or maybe the Alistar early if they wanted to. But instead,
Tristana is not
yeah.
bad. Tristana is not even bad. Look at that. Very interesting drop there from Resurgence. Lots of powerhouse picks coming in from YG. I feel like the nerf on Cassiopeia is not really enough. So, just these three already.
Yeah.
These are very, very heavy picks here in the hands of Young Generation. Now, all they need to focus on is what is lacking on Resurgence. Of course, the support and I think their mid lane. So Braum. Yeah. I think they could just focus on the support. So there's no need to ban any mid
banning all the supports, Alistar, Braum, Rakan, Lulu, Thresh, all out of the champion pool.
Wow.
So that does leave Janna. Oh, Janna's banned.
Yes. Okay,
so that's
we're left with Morgana.
Yeah.
Zyra.
Morgana, Taric, maybe.
Yeah, Taric.
I
have a feeling Taric.
Yeah, Taric and I think is one of the higher priority ones.
RSG should pick that one. Definitely, because YG still has no support available. But of course, if they pick Taric, what would be the priority pick available, if ever?
In regards to support, yeah, Corki is a good, safe mid laner. Yeah. I don't know, but if I take Corki right now, I'd rather take your support now.
Yes, because it would be a support here.
Yeah,
for
so
YG, ladies and gentlemen.
YG, they need to take their top laner and their support. They already know it's going to be a Rumble top and a Maokai jungle, most likely. So it's the support pick. It will be the Taric, so that is gone.
So we are left with
Resurgence. They're going to have to play something like maybe a Karma or Morgana.
Morgana.
Bard. So it's going to be one of those picks that you don't really see in the meta right now.
Definitely. I'm not too sure if it will be a Morgana. That would be a redundancy for the Sivir, but we'll see, ladies and gentlemen. Right now, for my take on this one, this is a draft heavily favoring YG right now. Yeah, got a Galio here for the top lane.
Yeah, I really like this pick and ban coming in from YG. Resurgence, on the other hand, they will go for that Karma.
All right.
So, Karma, Sivir, not exactly the most common bottom lane you'd see, but I think it might work. But they do need to be careful, as I think Kalista and Taric is just so much better in the late game and in the mid game. And we're going to have to see if Ciela's going to prove us wrong with this second rotation, first rotation rather, Sivir pick.
Of course, but I'm not so sure. This Maokai would be kept in check by the Cassiopeia. Rek'Sai, a very durable backline diver as well for the YG squad. And the problem here is that there's a very heavy demand for items here for the squad of RSG. Corki would have to wait out in getting his Trinity Force to be really effective for this game. Whereas Cassiopeia can deal considerable damage in the early game, despite only holding onto a Tear of the Goddess. Actually, if I'm not mistaken, Cassiopeia's Twin Fang is buffed on the early levels and nerfed on the later levels. So I'm not too sure. This is actually very risky for the Resurgence squad, even if we're accounting for win conditions here. A very clear win conditions here is that they should have a very big lead. That's one.
And I think all teams are looking for Resurgence to win this game, as, let's say, Resurgence beats Young Generation. It makes it a lot more easier for the other teams to secure that first seed or secure that second seed. So Resurgence, they have shown potential, but we also have to take in consideration that this Resurgence team, they haven't had a lot of time to practice together. Their top laner, Revive, and their mid laner, Raven, weren't able to attend GPL. Revive had exams while Raven is only, I believe, 17 years old, so not, or 16, not old enough to play in the GPL just yet. So they had to replace them with Rock and I believe Intresso. And these guys, they're from the Sea Serpents in Thailand, and they've only had maybe a weekend really to practice with them. So that synergy is going to be a concern considering the language barrier between the Singaporean players and the Thai players.
Alright, so not so sure, ladies and gentlemen, but of course, as the team, especially us, we are banking on Team Manila Eagles. I mean, I think if we're going to be asking Team Manila Eagles, as you mentioned, along with the other teams, you'd want Resurgence to win.
Yeah, for sure.
Because this is, if you really want to increase the odds of you qualifying and getting out of this group stage, ladies and gentlemen, you'd want the top team to lose their games, ladies and gentlemen. But that doesn't seem to be the case for this game, especially considering this draft. Let's see what will unfold into the Summoners Group. Once again, we are live on YouTube, so we want to send the biggest shoutouts to all of our viewers there. This is our coverage for the Garena Premier League Summer 2017. Of course, we want to send the biggest shoutouts to other coverage as well, to our co-broadcasters there, delivering all the action here in GPL in the respective languages, ladies and gentlemen. And again, you know what's at stake here on this GPL. What's so special for GPL right now is not just the gold motif, ladies and gents, but also the chance of qualifying for Worlds. So here we go. Welcome to Summoners Reap, ladies and gentlemen, Garena Premier League Summer 2017. This time for the fourth game in the second day of our group stage. It would be Young Generation from Vietnam versus Resurgence of Singapore.
And we do see that the Maokai is going to be starting at the blue buff instead of the Raptors, so opting to put a bit more priority on the top side.
Yes.
But they do need to be careful, as we have seen a lot of the bottom lanes. They will take the time to check the blue buff of the enemy and try to disrupt it, try to make them slower. And that's something you don't really want to happen.
And the problem here is if Maokai would be focusing for the top lane by level 2 or level 3,
the Rek'Sai,
the bottom duo of YG might, you know, punish definitely this RSG squad. Although it's not that easy to go near Karma.
They're going to do it right now. And this is going to put Rek'Sai so far ahead. Seattle actually taking the brute force of most of that damage, already taken down to 25% HP. And that's all you need to do as this bottom lane. They keep on doing this. We've seen this time and time again, but a lot of these teams, they haven't taken the time to have a play around it, plan around it, just put a ward down in the river early, spotting them out so they can play accordingly. Instead, it's going to be Young Generation with the very big lead, not only in the bottom lane, but in the jungles as well.
Let's see, ladies and gentlemen, I feel like that lead would not just reflect itself on the blue buff, but also on the lane as well. Especially with a good chunk of health removed there from the bottom duo squad. And you could see that Ciela's pots has been burned already.
We did see that the Maokai was spotted out by the ward that they did manage to place in the early game. And look at what Maokai is doing. He's actually waiting around. He's expecting the Rek'Sai to invade him, so he's kind of being a bit more safe, pulling the red buff into the bush and taking extra precaution to make sure Rek'Sai doesn't invade. But Rek'Sai not opting to go for aggressive invades. We saw Caspiel do that on the Rek'Sai a couple games ago, but instead it's going to be Rek'Sai just looking to farm faster and just look to farm as fast as possible.
Yeah, he can tunnel in. He has the level 3 on this one. Mega the first blood, ladies and gentlemen, that's the spell shield. But we just focus on the Karma. A very quick wipe, a very quick first blood given onto Venus.
And that's a very beautiful gank coming in from Venus. Very nice jungle pathing right there. And very good synergy between the bottom lane and this jungler. The moment Young Generation goes in, Venus is there, the stun lands.
The stun lands. Actually, after the knock-up, there's the stand. For the whole duration of the stand, there was no opportunity for Aris to actually flash away.
Aris still has that flash up, but that will be the first blood falling to the Rek'Sai. So Rek'Sai will be looking to build his Tiamat as fast as possible, and having that first blood helps quite a bit.
And that's the consequence of getting a very clear info against the enemy jungler, against the Maokai. Ladies and gentlemen, a bit of a trade up here against Intresso. There is no. We'll just walk away, knowing of the cooldown from the Q of this Corki. Osprus bump.
Now, Ul didn't have enough mana to actually kill Intresso. If he did have the mana, that might have been a dead Corki, as Corki wasn't really respecting the damage coming out. And meanwhile, in the top lane, we take a look at that. It's going to be the Rumble, who's doing a pretty good job of laning against this Galio.
Yeah.
But I think that is to
just
be
for starters.
kind of expected. Yeah.
Yes, by the time that Galio would have, you know, his initial magic resist items here, should be a walk in the park
Yeah,
against
once you get that
Rumble.
adaptive helm, the Flame Spitter does a lot less damage.
I feel like even the Merc Treads really.
Yeah, Merc Treads, adaptive helm, that's all you need really, and then it becomes a lot more easier to deal with this Rumble.
So it's a little bit of an easy time here into the Summoner's Rift. Do take note that what you would want to observe as well is how this Vietnamese team, I'm really curious about the Vietnamese team because they are dubbed as a really strong country in terms of playing League of Legends. And how will they play around this Infernal Group?
Yeah, for sure. And it looks like the Rek'Sai not opting to go for the Tiamat. Instead, he will be going for the early, I believe it's
Cinder Hook.
Yeah, the Cinder Hook item, the Tracker's Knife. So he will be able to put those wards down deep into the bottom side of that jungle. And good trades coming down in that bottom lane.
Just gonna go for the objective game, ladies and gentlemen. And yeah, I'm really curious about this Vietnamese squad. Like, they say that the Vietnam has a very, very big population of League of Legends
Yeah,
players.
there's a really nice viewership. I think the biggest viewership in Southeast Asia. So really big, passionate fan base in Vietnam. And that in turn has allowed them to grow some really strong teams.
Yes.
Young generation, while they may be new in regards of the organization.
Vietnam has their own dedicated server, right?
Yeah, they do have their own dedicated
We're
server.
gonna play there, no?
A lot of the Indonesian teams actually play on the Vietnamese server. That's why you have a lot of Vietnamese imports in the local Indonesian pro gaming series. Like, if you take a look at the Headhunters, right? They have one Vietnamese player there. They're supposed to have two Vietnamese players, actually, but unfortunately, one of them couldn't make it, so yeah.
So, if it's Malaysia truly Asia, it's Vietnam, the Korea of Southeast Asia.
The Korea of Southeast Asia, but it would be nice to be like the Korea of the world, who knows? Like, having a GPL team win Worlds, I'd be okay. Even if it wasn't TME. Personally, I'd want TME to win, but I'd be okay if Gigabyte Marines wins as well.
And if Gigabyte Marines would win in qualify for the Worlds, I'd be cheering for them heavily. I have big trust on them. They're a very capable team.
Yeah,
especially with their showing in the MSI.
And what's funny is Gigabyte Marines actually 3-0 swept Young Generation in the finals of the local Vietnamese tournament. And if you take a look at how dominant Young Generation has been against some of these other teams, it makes you wonder just how good are the Gigabyte Marines.
On what level is Gigabyte Marines playing?
Even in Game 3 of the finals of the Vietnamese League, they actually had Archie, their top laner, playing the mid lane. They benched Optimus, and they still won the game extremely hard. So
maybe Optimus would want to go to have a quick CR break or something for that game.
Yeah,
makes me recall of that moment in GPL. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, right now, a steady scenario here into the Summoner's Rift. If we'll be accounting for the lead here, it's actually on the jungle side.
Yeah,
it's actually on the
that
jungler.
first blood on the Rek'Sai, as well as Rek'Sai has been able to secure a lot of buffs, and we do see another pause, as there is another technical difficulty. But so far, aside from that first kill in the bottom lane, hasn't really been much action just yet.
By the time that the mid game enters, maybe if a Corki gets his Trinity Force, maybe Leandris. Not so sure for the Rumble.
Yeah, Rumble's going to be looking for the Leandris.
I think there's a very tight win condition here for the Resurgent squad, right?
But they have a really powerful power spike in the mid game. Once you get the Leandris, like you said, once you get the Trinity Force, you have that package on the Corgi, and then once Sivir starts to pick up the Essence Reaver, that's when you can really do some work. And we'll have to see how it goes. If Karma goes for the Ardent Sensor as well, that's going to be another big power spike, buffing both the Corgi and the Sivir. Both Corgi and Sivir can make really good use of that Ardent Sensor, and that's a lot of extra damage.
So it falls heavily on the team fights, right? It is definitely, if we guys are accounting, it cannot be denied. It cannot be denied that Young Generation has a very, very good composition here. But if we're accounting for how can they win this game, like how can Resurgence win this game, it is on the team fight. Resurgence, by the time they have their items, they should want to team fight. They should take a team fight.
But I don't think that's going to be possible if we take a look at how dominant some of these lanes have been. If you take a look at bot lane, Big Coral already almost 20 CS up over this Sivir in the bottom lane. So the Sivir versus Kalista matchup not going too well.
Especially with the Taric, that's the problem here.
Yeah. And you think it'd be a lot more easier seeing as you have the spell shield to block the stun. But unfortunately, it hasn't been the case. Maybe that first blood really set the tone of that chase. And already, 7 minutes in, turret already down in that bottom lane. That's going to be Kalista and Derek taking that bot lane turret already.
This is not good. This is the composition of Resurgence. They don't have an assassin for this Kalista.
And they're already starting that Drake. This is the Infernal Drake as well on top. This is a really good snowball start for Young Generation. And despite the pings going down, there's not much Resurgence can do. The Resurgence already accepting their losses, and they have swapped the lane. So Sivir in that top lane already. And it's going to be Karma looking to sword up the top side river, trying to secure the Rift Herald, making sure that the Rex side doesn't get too far ahead and go for those constant invades.
At the very least, we won't be seeing a Blade of the Ruined King yet for Big Coral. Would just be... Oh, wait, hold on top. Ben is here. There's going to be a lot of damage coming in from Intreso. There's another Valkyrie in, but he will tunnel out. Gets the flash. There is the knock-up. Ultimate by the Galio, plus the Rek'Sai ultimate as well. Rek'Sai would go down still, but Intreso, he may survive. Where's the cooldown from the Valkyrie? Would guide away. Here comes Big Coral from the top lane. Rather, interestingly, Big Coral was in the top lane. But of course, the fight still continues. There is the Chariot ultimate, ladies and gentlemen. Ren puts in the Wings of War. This is a 4v2 scenario, but Big Koro has the item, has the lead for this one. Here comes Naol. Naol with the damage, puts in the ultimate. Eternal gets the kill on Ren, and Aris would go down against Naol. And you could see, ladies and gentlemen, if they manage to tag in Ciela, which they won't, as he would use the flash, it could have been an ace, but it is a 4-for-1.
Yeah, and let's take a look at exactly what happened, as that was a very big early game team fight. It all started with the Corki going aggressive onto Venus. Take a look. We have passed that, so Intreso dives a bit too far, and Venus actually gets Intreso down to half HP with the knockup and with that ultimate.
Wow.
And I think at this point, Resurgence needs to back off, but they're still constantly fighting. Like, even after this failed engage, even after the Maokai comes, they still decide to commit. What they should have just been backing off right now.
Yes.
Like, we'll see them try to extend a bit further, and this is when the Galio gets a decent knockup. See the Rumble still extending, and they just get punished because of that. Cassiopeia makes it in time.
They took a fight like that against a team with a Cassiopeia, despite not knowing where the Cassiopeia might be. They have no vision actually deeper onto that blue side jungle. And they still continued. They still continue fighting. Maybe they got baited because they know that the Tarek's ultimate has been down now.
And I have a feeling this is going to be a very snowbally game unless Resurgence does a miracle play, as it's already...
And by the time well, that's Big Koro recalling, and that is the Blade of the Ruined King. No boots yet, but that's clearly a damage. A
3,000 gold lead in favor of Young Generation. Yeah. You have the carries of this Young Generation team extremely fed. Cassiopeia already 2-0-1, while this Kalista 2-0-3. He had enough gold to go immediately for the Blade of the Ruined King, not opting to go for the Ruinous Hurricane as the first item.
Not to mention that Intreso is actually not even halfway on his skull.
Yeah.
Doesn't have a gauge yet as well for the Trinity Force fight.
And I think that goes down to the miscommunication, really. If you take a look at that previous team fight between these Thai players and these Singaporean players on this Resurgence team, I think Intreso a bit too aggressive there. They got punished as a result.
Eternal would be here onto the mid lane. Do take note. There might be a flank here. What is Balance is actually on the red side jungle. Getting vision, helping the Rek'Sai as well. They can actually make a setup to make a push in the top lane, or maybe a repair. This is another fight. This is another major maneuver by the YG squad to take an objective or maybe win a team fight. This is not good for the Resurgence.
Yeah, potential tower dive opportunity in this top lane. Looks like he's going to be looking to push Resurgence off of the turret, but Resurgence not going down with the fight. They are still hovering around this turret, so they're going to be looking to contest. And here comes the teleport
That's
flank.
the teleport flank, ladies and gentlemen. That's just how you bait in. And I can see him smiling here just because how good this place has been set it up. There is no stun with the spell shield coming in from Ciela, and it would be the Fate's call to just remove the support away from the turret range. But that should be a top lane outer turret, surely to be taken by the YG squad.
So this does give an opportunity for the Resurgence side lanes to push up the mid, push up the bottom, but they don't have enough damage to get this turret. And despite the teleport being burnt, despite a lot of ultimates and summoner spells being burnt, it's still going to be Young Generation coming out on top as they take that top lane turret.
How to set up plays, man.
Yeah, really good board coming in from Palette. I wasn't expecting that teleport.
Not to mention how decisive they are when it comes to making the setups.
Yeah,
it's not the tower dive, it's actually just the flank.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think the young generation today is looking a lot more different than the young generation we saw yesterday. Young generation yesterday had a lot of sloppy plays, but this is looking like a lot more cleaner from them in terms of execution.
I'm starting to want to play in Vietnam. You're just saying this.
The Vietnamese server. I mean, I think the language barrier might be a bit too big for me, but who knows?
Are they like very comp intensive? Because in Korea, sometimes even if you don't usually need to comps that much.
That's true. That's true. Like there's a lot of Chinese players, a lot of Taiwanese players that play on the Korean server. Even our local Philippine players do practice on that Korean server. So maybe you can get away with it. I've personally been leveling up an account on the Korean server as well. So,
so there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. We just have some PC issue from the side of the Resurgence squad, ladies and gents, and not so sure. This is quite a sad game, really, for Resurgence. If we try to trace back where did the lead came from, not so sure if it would be on the first blood, but I'm very sure it's on the bottom duo. No, not on the first blood, but I guess it's on the invade on the blue side.
Yeah, the blue side invade. The very beginning of the game, the first minute of the game dictated how the rest of the bottom lane laning phase went. And that's something that these teams just really need to take into consideration, because it's been happening time and time again throughout this tournament, where you just have the bottom lane just walk up to the blue up, contest it, and punish. And they don't have any preparations around that.
And do not be mistaken for our viewers or summoners. Despite despite having no kills, despite having no kills for that invade on the blue buff,
it's a lot.
It's still okay. That's a lot of damage.
Yella had 25% HP. Was forced to use a health potion and come to lane with half HP. And that's really hard to do when you're against a Kalista and Taric.
If you account for the scaling, they would be punished. Even the Karma, let's say Karma has spoke, right? But Kalista would just get all those free hits. Even if somebody stand in front of her, there is of course the Starlight's touch coming in. The Dazzle rather from the Taric. Starlight's was the ultimate on this one.
It looks like it is a technical difficulty on Ciela's computer, as a lot of the technical support and judges.
Yeah, they're aiding them. For the curiosity of some of our viewers, they're playing in Bangkok.
Yeah, they are playing in Bangkok, Thailand right now. That's where the GPL is being hosted.
Yes, and not so sure. Have you ever been to Bangkok?
I've been there.
Whatever happened to Bangkok Titans?
I've been there once. Bangkok Titans actually came in second during the the Thai local pro gaming series. I believe it was Ascension first. They beat Bangkok Titans in the finals 3-1, and Bangkok Titans beat
but Lloyd is not anymore on BKT, right? He's on Ascension.
No, Lloyd isn't on BKT. I don't recall the rest of the BKT members, but I do know that Patrick, of course, the mid laner of Headhunters, is from Bangkok Titans. Yeah, and what's interesting is the Resurgence members as well. They've got 2 Thai players, so they're from the Sea Serpents. The Sea Serpents, they came into the scene and they were thought to be the favorites actually coming into this local Thai tournament, as they had 2 Korean imports, and not just any random Koreans. They had Emperor,
I heard that
Emperor and Fixer. So Emperor, famous for being on CJ Entis back in the day, and Fixer, I believe he was on Jin Air for a while, but he didn't really stand out much. They both played in Brazil for a bit.
And so what happened in the
Sea Serpents, they're actually second in the regular season, but they fell short against Bangkok Titans in the semifinals. So yeah, we do see that the 2 members of Sea Serpents are playing right now on the Resurgence team. That's going to be Rock, their top laner, and that's going to be Intresso, their mid lane.
So what is Emperor doing here? Doing right now?
Emperor, or
I mean the Korean imports from Thailand.
I'm not sure. I mean, I think they probably might stay around for the next season, as I've heard that they have pretty good management, as their head coach of the Sea Serpent team is actually Impaler, if you remember him from Super Hot Crew in the EULCS.
Yes.
So he managed to end up all the way.
So Impaler is now on Southeast Asia?
Yeah, Impaler is in Southeast Asia. He is the coach of Sea Serpents. It would have been cool to see him in GPL, as I was a fan of Super Hot Crew back in the day.
Yes.
But unfortunately, they fell short.
Yes, whatever happened to Super Hot Crew, right? It's like they're like a wild.
I think their spot got bought out, right?
Yeah, they're like a wild card team. They have the same aura as Unicorns of Love.
Yeah, the same Unicorns of Love, just like the underdog aura, where they seem like a
This,
group of friends.
Of
nothing really serious.
yeah, nothing serious. A group of non-serious people, coming together, but really talented in terms of League of Legends. I do recall those moments when it was the first time the jungle Twisted Phase.
Yeah,
Twisted
that
Fate
was
was pulled up by Unicorns of Love.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Kiki's,
that's a
I believe.
very nice bait to actually. I think it was a bait so that there would be a winning matchup in the mid lane.
Yeah, that was Reginald, right? I believe it was Reginald who got baited out there.
Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are back into the game right now. Things are looking very, very gloomy here for the Singaporean squad. Resurgence, we're not even sure if they're not anywhere near and actually resurging back into this game.
And they have a game immediately after this. They're going to be facing off against the rivals, the local rivals, the Kuala Lumpur Hunters, so the Singaporean-Malaysia rivalry right after this game. So losing a game in this fashion is something you don't really want to do, as that can lead to really poor mentality coming into your next game.
Yeah. I mean, on this group stage, as we mentioned, one of the upper tier teams would be Kuala Lumpur Hunters. The top team is Young Generation.
Yeah.
They're like the same really in a sense that they are a high caliber team, except that Kuala Lumpur Hunters, they seem to be less serious about how they execute fights.
Yeah, like
and
I think
they itemize.
It was a bit sloppy, I think, coming in from Kuala Lumpur Hunters, and that's not really the same Kuala Lumpur Hunters we saw, I think, in the spring split, really. But they have had a lot of time to refine their craft. They actually spent a month in Korea prior to the finals of their local TLC league.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
A boot camp.
Yeah, they boot camped in Korea for a month, and when they came back to the finals, I don't think it really paid off, as they almost got reverse sweeped in the finals. So I'm not sure what's really going on with them, but hopefully they can come back to their former glory.
It's like an almost CLG story.
Because you think they'd be really good, considering they have Becky back. Becky, their leader in the mid lane, back a year ago. And with him back, you'd assume that they would have had that leadership and be a lot more cohesive, but it seems to be slightly the opposite, really.
But I'm still curious about Becky's performances in the bottom lane.
Yeah, he's been hit or miss. Sometimes he really pops off. Caspio's able to just snowball Becky, and he could. And like, the mechanical skill is there from him, but
it's like Berserk in the mid lane, except it's reverse. From mid to ADC.
Yeah,
from ADC to.
So. But then
Berserk is hit or miss as well.
The thing
in
is,
the mid
Becky went support first, so Becky went mid support AD carry because he played support for Hong Kong Esports in LMS for a
from
split.
mid to AD, from mid to support, it kind of makes more sense than mid to ADC. But again, ladies and gentlemen, we're just waiting out for that issue to be fixed. Last time we heard, I think it is from the Resurgence side, ladies and gentlemen. And I do recall Toys.
Like
by our players, ladies and gentlemen.
Where
was Toys once again?
Toys was on the Taipei Assassins. Yeah, back when the Taiwanese region was still part of GPL. They managed to win 2013.
Who was the mid lane?
2012 Worlds.
Who was the mid lane?
Toys.
Toys, right?
Yeah,
the one with Oriana.
Yeah, famous for his Oriana. The TPA Oriana skin, of course.
It was in Hong Kong Esports.
Hong Kong Esports, it's a different team from Taipei Assassins.
From Taipei, but was Toys there?
I don't recall, but I do know. I believe it's Bebe, the AD carry of TPA when they won Worlds. He's on Hong Kong Esports, so yeah.
Toys would have been proud.
Or don't quote me on that, because I could be wrong with Bebe.
But Toys would have been proud, There are very few people who have been playing Oriana in the past.
And
I feel like Oriana, there's not much of a change in Oriana.
Yeah.
From the time that Toys has been using it until now, still Oriana is dubbed to be a very, very strong mid lane.
Yep, it's pretty interesting to see how she's remained relevant throughout the seasons. And
there was a nerf on Oriana. I think her W and E got nerfed, but those are base damages. Nothing really impacting. Yes. Just a very slight nerf, because we know that the strength of an Oriana actually relies on her scaling and on her utility.
Yeah, for sure.
A very, very balanced champion in the mid lane, ladies and gentlemen. What about you? You still play support, right?
Yeah, of course. I still
play. What is the status of the support right now on the meta?
Support role, I think meta-wise, in solo queue, it's really just John is like the best support in solo queue right now. Yeah. Like, you don't really need to do much, but you still have a lot of gold, and you provide a lot of disengage, a lot of peel for your team.
And utility for a team. Like, You could even pull off a composition which is lacking in crowd control.
Yeah.
But you have a Jana, and you take care of all of that. I feel like support position right now is very healthy.
It's okay. I'd prefer support a couple patches back. Maybe the 17.12-ish meta.
Yes, the one with the Lulu.
That's when there was still a transition between like the Karma Lulu and then the tanks where you had like the Braum, Tom Kench, Alistar. So it was like a transition period where there wasn't really a definitive way to play the game yet. Whereas nowadays there seems to be some a certain fixed champions where it's either gonna be the Braum, the Thresh,
yes,
the Janna, and the Alistar. Those
the interesting part
there.
Rakan. Yes, the interesting part here was Tamkech was dropped slightly.
Tamkech.
There was a time where Tamkech was one of the priority bans.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things is that it's a lot more bruisery meta, like a lot more tanks in the meta right now. So there isn't really much ways to just instantly burst you. You'd use the Tom Kench to eat your AD carry or save someone before they got picked. That's when Syndra was running rampant in that mid lane.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
I see. And Camille's.
Yeah, and then like the Bears and Ashe was running rampant in the bottom lane. So you just get to engage and then you die instantly.
Yes, that is understandable.
Yeah.
Okay, right now, even if you get caught by crowd control, it's still okay.
If you take a look at the AD carries, it's a lot more sustained damage. Kalista, Tristana, Saya, a lot more sustained damage, even the Kog'Maw as well. So there's not really a need to pick the Tom Kench and just eat your AD carry.
And despite the lethality buffs, you don't see that much assassin right now.
Yeah, not really.
You see more tanks. You see more tanks right now. So if there are less assassins, then there are less. You would be seeing less ADCs getting pop up instantly, and that's why there's no Tom Kench around the corner, ladies and gentlemen. We are back in the game. 30-minute mark, 5-2. Let's see. Will that chit chat, will that big timeout bring back the game for Resurgence?
Yeah, Resurgence. The pause was quite long, so they might have had some time to settle down, recollect their thoughts.
Yeah.
At the same time, maybe they have been stressed out trying to fix these issues.
And on the next recall, I'm not so sure that what is the timer on the package right now, but on the next recall, that should be a Trinity Force for Impresso. And Leandris is completed on Rock.
Yeah, but looks like Young Generation will be able to pick up that Rift Herald.
Same as always.
Yeah, so
Young Generation with the objective plays.
Without objective, they can force the mid lane turret to fall, and we see that happening right now as Big Coral and Pallet in that middle lane, while the rest of the Young Generation squad are positioning themselves in the top side of the map, the top red jungle.
And actually, Intrinsic still not recalled. Not recalled still. Okay,
yeah, I think he's kind of forced
still
to
lacking, no?
clear the wave in the top lane.
Yeah.
But Cassiopeia is just putting so much pressure right now.
They need to take this fight actually in the mid lane. Or unless they give that up. That is so bad. They're standing there. And that mid lane outer turret would go down, definitely. Okay. So maybe just cut their losses.
Yeah, it looks like Rift Herald won't be able to take 2 turrets, just 1. And it is going to be 5 members now of Young Generation just up in the middle lane, but I have a feeling they will decide to back off. Air Drake, Cloud Drake is available right now, so something that they can pick up. We do see that Rumble has picked up that DeAndre Storm, so a decent amount of damage on him, while the Sivir only 92 CS, so he is quite far behind in CS, but almost completed that I believe.
Ladies and gents, and it's not just actually the objectives here. We do know that Vision unlocks objective, but this is a dominating Vision team here by the YG, by the Young Generation squad. So right now, actually have the lead to the point that they've exhausted a lot of objectives into the map, removing the mid lane outer turret, removing the Cloud Drake as well. And of course, we are still 4 minutes before the Baron. Definitely more than 4 minutes before a Drake will spawn into the Reap. So we might see a little timeout into the map, but if there's an objective to be played here, I won't expect Young Generation to actually defend because Resurgence is not even pushing.
Yeah, it looks like Young Generation are just looking to finish their items. Kalista trying to farm up for that Runaan's Hurricane. We do see that Cassiopeia will be going for that Banshee Veil, while Tarek Pallet hasn't finished that Ardent Sensor just yet, and once you get that Ardent Sensor, that's a really big power spike for your Kalista.
They could actually establish Vision here, for the blue side jungle. And what would happen is that would create space either for the Galio or for the Cassiopeia to continue this push.
It is awkward for the Cassiopeia to be pushing
it's
the side lane
awkward.
though, as Cassiopeia doesn't have that teleport and doesn't have boots either, no ghost as well, so very slow champion right now.
Why heal? I'm curious about the heal.
I guess the heal helps trade against the Corki a bit better.
Just for the trade, right?
Yeah, looking for those trades. And he has been doing a good job of trading against Intresso so far, 2-0-1.
And there's very little crowd control as well coming in from Resurgence. That's only the Twisted Advance, man.
Yeah, the Twisted Advance and the ultimate from Maokai is all that's available in regards to hard CC.
Now into the push here by the YG squad. Of course, you still want to account for the wave clear available from the Resurgence. And, well, at least there's the vision on the blue side jungle.
But that vision will be cleared out pretty quickly as Resurgence trying to re-establish control of the map.
I'm just curious, which one will be it? On what part of the map will Resurgence fold? Will it be the mid lane or will it be the bottom lane? Because YG would go all in onto Intresso on this one. He got a Valkyrie. He would walk out. That's a lot of damage being dealt onto No.
So the package was using the bottom lane defensively, and we did see that On the Hunt was also popped in that mid lane. So a lot of big cooldowns being burnt by Resurgence. So this does open up the map for Young Generation. Baron is up in 2 minutes. Ballista should have Runan's Hurricane by then. So that will add quite a bit of damage. And it looks like it's going to be a 4-man rotate for this bottom lane, as they do realize that Intresso is by himself.
It's just really weird, you know. What's so interesting about League of Legends is that the map, the game actually evolves as you play it. It is getting harder and harder to actually push or finish the game despite whatever lead you are taking, but not like this really. Now, getting a solo kill on Intresso.
Yeah, really well played, Intresso.
Flash was burned.
Yeah, flash for flash, so I'd say it's worth it, as this might be an opportunity for Young Generation to take this bottom lane.
Yeah, they have no mid lane, ladies and gentlemen. But I'm curious, what is the bottom duo of Young Generation doing actually? They can just go for the push into the mid lane. Venice would flash away, still has his tunnels available. There's the teleport from Red, and here comes the bottom duo squad, ladies and gentlemen. Naul has no ultimate, still on cooldown, and they're having a hard time making a push here because they're lacking the minions. It's going to be knocking onto this inner bottom lane turret, and that should be another objective given. Starlight Struts has been activated, and that would be a call for the Young Generation to back out.
Yeah, they got what they're looking for. They got that turret, and this is pretty good timing as it's 40 seconds till the Baron spawns. They've burnt a lot from this Resurgence side, and with that turret, that should be enough gold to pick up the really big items. You see right off the bat, Ardent Censer, Runan's Hurricane, Banshee's Veil, already complete, and 4 control wards for each member, so that's exactly what Young Generation was looking for. Perfect timing.
Perfect timing.
And
Perfect timing.
Be a Baron play right now.
They're very, very equipped. That's actually not just 4, 5. Earlier was 5. It is actually now 8 control wards on top of a swap for the sweeping lens there by Palette.
Yeah, looks like Young Generation have identified that they are extremely strong right now.
Yeah.
And they're just going to abuse it, and this is how you win a game. 7,000 gold, 20 minutes in, that's what you need right there.
They can clearly take this Baron. All they need is to make that setup now for the bottom lane. But Teleports has been burned. So right now there's enough time for Rock to actually push and like shove the lane in the bot lane.
Yeah, but Rock needs to be careful because he doesn't have teleport himself.
Yeah, so he actually, after going for the bottom lane, he actually went for this red side jungle. But look at that, they would go all in. They know that if they manage to wipe someone, they remove someone, then they could easily ease up on taking the Baron. And it's a 4v5 if ever Resurgence would take a fight in the Baron.
Yeah, but we do see that big Koro taking down a half HP. Does have both summoners, but with Intresso down, might side this Baron. They do have that Callista, so the red will be a safety net. And looks like they're starting it right.
They have to at least land an equalizer, something. They have to answer this. Right now, they are definitely behind. There is the equalizer, there is the sidestep. Palette dropping below half health. And here comes now, that is the space. The ultimate would connect actually onto Ciela, the ADC. And that would be Eternal going to be left for dead. Intresso will spawn into the Summoner Sweep. Ren uses his ultimate, but in the end, on top of that 1 kill, actually 2 kills for your account for Intresso. That is the baton in the hands of Young Generation.
And that was actually a very delicate moment for Young Generation as the smite came down a bit too early. There was actually a 1 second delay between the smite and the Ren coming out from Ballista, so that gave Eternal a window of opportunity to get that smite. Unfortunately, he wasn't fast enough, and here comes Engage. So
yes, ladies and gentlemen, all in on this one. There's the flash, there is the dazzle, there is the Starlight's touch, and there is also the turret to be taken in by the YG squad. And Young Generation would be destroying the inner top lane turret, not going to be taking the mid lane inhibitor turret. So, but at the least, a lot has been taken in by the Young Generation.
Yeah, that was a turret right there, and that pushes the gold lead even further. That's going to be 12,000 gold, 22 minutes in the game, and as Resurgence, there's not much you can do at this point. You're struggling to complete your items. It looks like most of the members haven't even got their second item. Let's take a look at the smite. I want to pay attention to this period where...
Check out the numbers, guys.
Yeah. So, we do see Eternal does manage to flash in, and we do see the smite go down. Then there was a second before Big Koro actually pops the Rend. But Eternal just unfortunately wasn't too quick with the smite, and that's going to be the Baron for Young Generation.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is a 12k gold lead into our game by Young Generation. Right now, Frozen Heart along with the Iron Solari will be brought here into the base of Resurgence. You've seen the equalizer. It's actually easier to like land that on a battlefield. I'm not so sure if you're like defending. But let's see, ladies and gentlemen, as the inhibitor turret would go down. There's another flash, rather the face call flash away there by the members, or by one of the members of Resurgence. They back out. They don't want to give any bonus skills here, but they'd be giving away the inhibitor.
Only the Fates called burn, and we do see Intresso opting to split push rather than defend the base. So Resurgence needs to be careful, as this is going to be a 4v5. We do see pings onto Intresso, so Young Generation is aware for this. They're going to hard commit to this turret. Equalizer burn.
That's interesting though. Equalizer in the back line, but they would commit after the equalizer is gone, ladies and gents. Intresso would delay unstoppable for Big Koro after getting the kill on Eternal. There is Ren in the front line, but look at all the Twin Fangs getting impaled onto the members of Resurgence. Rak tries to cut away with harpoons, and that should be a second inhibitor taken in by the Young Generation.
And with that, it's going to be extremely difficult for Resurgence to win this game. We did see that equalizer was committed way before Intresso was there to go for a follow-up. And as the Resurgence squad, you have to look at how do I start the team fights. You have that Maokai. Ideally, you want to start team fights with your Maokai, with the on the hunt from the Silver. It's not enough, really. You're struggling.
The timing here is very off. The timing is very off. What would be ideal is the Maokai ultimate, equalizer in the backline, Silver ultimate, and a follow-up from Intresso.
Yeah, I mean, there's roughly a 2-item lead in regards to all of Young Generation's players. We do see, take a look at the AD carries position. We do see Blade the Rune King, Runner's Hurricane, Phantom Dancer, and a BF Sword compared to Ciella's Essence Reaver, Zeal, and that's it.
Monster shown here by the Young Generation squad, now planning a methodical approach to finish this game as they are knocking onto the top lane inhibitor turret. Where is the fight? It's another chance for Resurgence to make it a game 5, but they might be caught off guard here with the face call from the Kalista. Starlight starts to follow into the back line. There's a nice equalizer to divide the members here of YG, but look at that, there is Ren. There is a pause. I feel like, there is a pause. I think there's a problem really from RSG. They're not answering properly against YG. I do feel that there's a lag there, but regardless,
of what happens, Young Generation still in position to make the play as the Eternal is gone. The equalizer has been burnt. And we do see that Palette almost has the ultimate available, so that's going to help quite a bit in just looking to push and end the game. And Super Minions are knocking on the doors of this Nexus as they've already made contact with the turrets.
Yeah, look at Noel.
Noel.
I mean, Noel, the angle that Cassiopeia is in. Just no flash though, no flash. But the moment that this RSG Resurgence, this RSG team did not turn around, they'd be receiving a very heavy, they'd suffer a very heavy casualty coming in from the ultimate of Noel.
Yeah, I mean, Ren is extremely tanky right now, so even though he looks like in a bad position, he should be able to live through most of the damage coming in from Resurgence. And what's interesting is Resurgence, they weren't really able to execute their game strategy. I don't think Intresso has used his teleport once the entire game for like offensively really, other than going back to lane. But even then, that was only maybe one opportunity where he used his teleport to go back to lane, and yeah.
2 deaths, man. That's only 2 deaths coming in from young generation. Clearly, ladies and gentlemen,
Very clean game.
very clean game from young generation. Not to mention a very clear statement.
Yeah, young generation, they look pretty chill right now, but at the same time, they look serious, you know, concentrate. They have the face of focus and
They
concentration.
are actually, that's the face of focus of a Korean team. Eh.
Yeah.
I'm starting to feel like there's this discussion of how good Vietnamese teams are. They are.
Yeah, because we haven't really seen that many other teams really after Gigabyte Marines. They've been dominating for quite some time
Yes,
now.
that's the thing.
So we don't really have an idea of how strong the other Vietnamese teams are relative
because you can continue
to
saying,
the region. Yeah.
You can continue saying that a country or a league is really strong if like they continually win a league like GPL. Like it's always Gigabyte Marines, but that is just only one team.
Yeah.
If you really want to enforce something, or if you really want to emphasize how strong a region can be, it's not just with one team. It's actually with a lot of teams.
Yeah, and we saw that at Rift Rivals actually. It was the Gigabyte Marines. They were the only ones that actually managed to win games in Rift Rivals, whereas it was Ascension and Mineski struggling to take games off of their Oceanic and Japanese counterparts.
Yes. But the one who won Rift Rebels was LGL, right?
I believe it was the
Japanese squad.
Yeah,
yes.
the Japanese squad, I believe.
Did they went for the finals? I mean,
it was Japan versus
because you take points. You take points as by region, not as a team, right?
Yeah.
that's the problem by Gigabyte.
The situation actually was that Mineski and Ascension haven't won a single game, and there's checks in place to ensure that you can't just be a single team carrying the entire region. And unfortunately, it was that situation where Gigabyte Marines were the only team winning in that position.
And same thought, ladies and gentlemen. You cannot really conclude that Vietnam is like a very strong country with only just the Gigabyte Marines.
But I mean,
but if you see young generation, a team like young generation like this, and I would guess even the top number 3 team in Vietnam would be as good as this one, then yeah, that's a very, very strong country. Makes you really interested in playing on that server.
If I recall correctly, young generation and Gigabyte Marines were on the top of the standings for most of the season. So, like, I think without a doubt, these are the best teams in the region, I believe. And it's showing right now.
As always, ladies and gentlemen, we are back into the game. The final push. Actually, there's a slight teleport here by our players. Yeah. I cannot see Ren actually in a bad spot because there is a push on all facets here of the base of Resurgence by the young generation squad. And that's a matter of time. Yes. They have to make that last hurrah, last fight.
3 inhibitors down. It's now a game of tower defense.
Yes. But the problem about League of Legends, they have very squishy towers, and look at that. No one's gonna advance to defend that, ladies and gentlemen. Now they're gonna take the fight without any Nexus turret. Here we go, ladies and gents. The big fight. Who will go that first? Rock with his August Argus. Eternal gets popped here by Venus with the Rek'Sai ultimate. Ciela going down. Look at the damage coming from Koro. Rends him away and will also bag in his support. Double kill for this Kalista. Not gonna be killing Rock. Only one member remaining for Resurgence, but no Nexus to continue this game of victory. A very, very emphasizing and clear victory for Young Generation.
Yeah, I mean, really well played from Young Generation. Very clean, very well executed. And I do have to commend the jungler Venus. He did a really good job of setting up the tempo for Young Generation to really make these plays happen.
Yeah, for the most part, we can say that it's on the bottom duo that set up in the blue side jungle and how they dominated the bottom lane. I'd give it to Palette as well.
That's amazing how just one play can just really snowball the game if you know what you're doing.
Yes, but again, going back for the Rek'Sai, what I want to comment on him is the way he used his Void Rush.
Yeah, really good job.
Good timing. Good timing on the Void Rush.
Buying a lot of time actually, and dealing a lot of damage.
Actually baiting out a lot of spells.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
Not targeting him. So that's what's so nice about the changes in Maokai. I still prefer the old Rek'Sai.
Yeah.
Because having a very good global presence, especially for a tank like a mobile tank like Rek'Sai. It's pretty good. But let's see, ladies and gentlemen, for the next game, I do hope Resurgence would take a very deep breath and, you know, would be in the proper posture to take the fight, because this time, that's a big challenge they're facing. Kuala Lumpur Hunters would be the next challenge for Singapore's Resurgence.
Yeah, and I actually believe that it was Resurgence who came out on top against the Kuala Lumpur Hunters the last... No, actually, I can't recall, to be honest.
But
no. Resurgence did beat Kuala Lumpur Hunters the last time they met yesterday. So it's going to be Kuala Lumpur Hunters
revenge match
to take that revenge, but KLH are looking really strong today, while on the other hand, Resurgence looking a bit shaky right there.
Well, KLH should stop picking first, Chill Smite first. They have to be methodical on this one, because you see what happens if you play really methodical, like if you play without being antsy on your engages, calculated plays, like the way Rek'Sai itemize, jungle item first. There's even the Ruby Crystal, priority on getting the Cinderhawk, because they know they're scaling properly, not gonna be gambling on winning like small fights early on, but winning the game per se. Wow, you know, young generation. And Vietnam, ladies and gentlemen. So that should be the conclusion for the 4th game here on the 2nd day of the group stage for the Garena Premier League Summer 2017. We'll see each other on... just stay right there for the Game 5, ladies and gents. And we have been your shoutcasters. I am Shibu with the 1, 4 and I with my partner, Nip. We'll be right back after a quick break. They are definitely behind. There is the equalizer. There is the sidestep. Pallet dropping below half health. And here comes now. Oh, that is the space. The ultimate would connect actually on Ciela, the ADC. And that would be Eternals. It's going to be less. They are knocking onto the top lane inhibitor turret. Where is the fight? It's another chance for Resurgence to make it a Game 5, but they might be caught off guard here with a face call from the Kalista. Starlight starts to follow into the back line. There is a nice equalizer to divide the members here of YG. But look at that, there is Ren. That's a matter of time. Yes. They have to make that last hurrah, last fight.
3 inhibitors down. It's now a game of tower defense.
Yes. But the problem about League of Legends, they have very squishy towers, and look at that. No one's gonna advance to defend that, ladies and gentlemen. Now they're gonna take the fight without any Nexus turret. Here we go, ladies and gents. The big fight. Who will go that first? Rock with his Argus. Eternal gets popped here by Venus with the Rek'Sai ultimate. Ciela going down. Look at the damage coming from Koro. Reds him away and will also bag in his support. Double kill for this Kalista. Not gonna be killing Rock. Only 1 member remaining for Resurgence, but no Nexus to continue this game of victory.